This is really the second lesson, I guess, of this tarot course. And the first one, as a way of introduction, I showed you some of the tarot decks that I have, why I don't use them, and why I think the Toth Tarot deck is the most important one. So hopefully, since the first lesson, you managed to get your tarot deck, and it's a Toth Tarot deck. And if it's a new deck, the first thing you've got to open up and take a look at them. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a deck that I can open, but we can still play along with this anyway. I'll be using the large size tarot cards. Whoops, there we go, over there. This is the other one as well. This is the smaller deck. Obviously, the smaller deck are much easier to use in readings, but the large ones are easier to show on the monitor. Okay, so when we open the tarot deck the first time, there's that little white book that comes with it, and it's a good way of getting to know the meanings of the cards. So, it's good things in there, so have a read of that at some time. Now, with the tarot deck comes some extra cards. All tarot decks have them, all playing cards often do as well. So you have to find and remove those extra cards because they're not part of the tarot deck at all. They're just part of where the printing process works. They've got extra spaces, so they fill them up with them. And the one that you're invariably going to find in a Toth Tarot deck is this one here, okay? And it's actually is known as the unicursal hexagram, right? And if you have the Crowley's Toth Tarot book, which we'll be talking about in a minute, he describes unicursal hexagram. And the point about this is that you can actually draw the hexagram without taking your wand or off the paper or anything like that. So nice little picture, put it in the box out of the way. The other thing that comes with the tarot decks, particularly I think it's more likely the A.G. Muller deck, is that there are actually 3 Magus cards in there. Okay, and why 3? Well, I don't know why really. They're probably Frida Harris, who's the artist of the Toth Tarot deck. She produced many versions of each card, and they decided which one they liked. The correct one to use for the Toth Tarot deck is this Magus card here. Okay, and there's 2 other versions. They're not as good. So you need to find those 2 Magus cards and remove them and put them with the unicursal hexagram and stick it in the box or something like that, because you have the cards out most of the time to use them, won't you? So that's the first thing to do, to remove the 2 Magus cards. And also, it's usually a good idea, something I do, is actually go through the cards and see that you've got 78 cards. It's probably unlikely that they're screwed up, but you never know, do you? And if you don't know the Toth Tarot cards, this is a good opportunity for you to get to know each card. Now, when I teach tarot, I'm not that big upon the meanings. You don't have to spend ages and ages learning a whole list of different aspects of each card. What's most important though is that you can recognize which card is which. If you can't say if it's a 4 disc or a 5 discs, then you're going to have problems. Okay? So the most important thing is whenever you look at cards, you just know exactly what it is. Now, what I've done is I've actually taken, there are of course 3 different kinds of tarot cards in the tarot deck. There's the major arcana, the minor arcana, and the court cards. Okay, so there's 22 major cards, and these are the ones that have death, the lovers, the emperor, the high priestess, all these kind of sort of things. There's 22 cards, so many people believe that there's a relationship between those cards and the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, which also has 22 letters. It's a convenient system, which we'll be kind of using anyway. So it's 22 major cards. Then we have 16 court cards, okay? And the court cards are the Queen, Knight, Prince, and Princess. And there's 16 of them, 4 for each suit. The way to pick, there's a lot of confusion between the Golden Dawn and Waite about the nomenclature, particularly of the knights and the princes, and I get confused myself. But it's the knight, queen, prince, and princess. And the simplest way to look at these is that basically have mother, father, son, and daughter. Queen is the mother, the knight is the father, the prince is the son, and the princess is the daughter. Okay, and you have that for each 4 suits. In the past, they did things on dark complexion and blonde or fair or things like this. And these days we tend to avoid sort of kind of doing racial kind of things like that. So those are the 16 of the court cards. And then the final group, the minor arcana, so-called, there's 40 of them, and they go from the ace to the tens. There's 4 groups, and they represent the 4 suits, equivalent to the 4 suits in a deck of playing cards. And they're usually more abstract on these ones. Okay, so here's the 3 kind of sets. I've picked out 3 cards at random for you. Okay, this one here, whoops, is the Prince of Discs. Okay, and then we have the 7 of Swords. That's a minor card, and then we have this one here. That's the Hermit card. All right. Now, these cards are designed to be read. Okay, and there's some little features on here that help you. And if you notice on this card here, can you see just down here along the edge there, the design changes just along here? This tells you the orientation of the cards. It doesn't appear at the top, it just appears here, and it tells you which way orientation the cards are. Because when I shuffle the cards, they're often reversed and things. The way I read the cards, the reversals don't mean the opposite meaning necessarily. We'll go into that later. Okay. So the other thing you need to know is at the bottom, it says the Hermit, and it gives you a Hebrew letter, which is there, the Yod. Okay, there, and on the other side, it has this astrological symbol for Virgo. Okay, so the Hebrew letter and the astrological symbol always appears on the major cards, and at the top we have the number of the card, which is 10, 11, number 9. I'll forget now. That's number 9. It's done in Roman numerals, which is not very helpful sometimes. But anyway, so there's 22 of these cards. Okay. Next, we have one of the minor cards. All right. So again, we have this little design at the bottom, which tells us which orientation it goes up. It doesn't appear at the top. This is the 7 of Swords. It says in the grey behind it you can see swords, and at the top there's the number 7. You can see that, and it also says futility, and that's the general name for the 7 of Swords. And one of the things you can do is just to remember that these basic names on the cards. Futility is a wondering whether it's pointless carrying on and things like this. Okay, and then we have the minor card, the court cards. Okay, and here he is. This is the Prince of Discs. It says Prince of Discs along the bottom. Okay. Again, we have the little feature on the edge of the cards, which tells you the orientation. At the top, it doesn't have a name. Okay, it doesn't have a name. Now, I just remembered something about because astrology is important in tarot. There is some astrological symbolism in the court cards, but not so much. But certainly they appear on the minor arcana. Okay, and if you notice, I put my fingers, there we are. The top of my finger, I don't know if you can see that, there's a moon. It's the crescent circle of a moon. And at the bottom you can see Aquarius, the symbol for Aquarius. Now what this means is the rulership of the moon over one of the decanates of Aquarius. It doesn't mean mooning in Aquarius. It means the rulership of the moon over one of the decanates of Aquarius. The decanate is 10 degrees. There's 30 degrees in a 30 degrees in a zodiac sign. Okay, and each sign is divided into 3 groups of 10, and these are the decanates. So there's 36 decanates in the in astrology. So, but we have 40 minor cards, and so what happens is we don't include the aces in the astrology. Right? So the aces, they're the roots of the elements. So they're not actually the element; they're the roots of the element.